I grew up at 29th and Boulevard, so I didn't always, live in a nice neighborhood where things were nice, right? But one thing I've struggled with in our community, and it's been like this forever, is our appetite for better lack of words, dysfunction is just incredible. And that only just proliferates that issue in our community. It's normalized here. It's normal. We don't even think about it anymore.
Desensitization.
That's exactly right.
It's so normalized now. So kids are seeing it on social media. It's happening in their homes. It's happening in their communities, and they're just dealing with it. And we've got to a point in society where we know that kids are just dealing with it, but they're not. They're internalizing. They're internalizing that trauma. That trauma becomes anger, becomes aggression, and then we see it now manifesting itself in an ugly way.
The worst thing that you see is anytime you see young kids involved in gun violence, because you see all that potential that is being lost with the person who's accused of a crime and the person who's a victim of a crime. You know that those lives are forever impacted by those events. And that's what really truly breaks your heart, is you just see so many people who, if they would just put down that gun, have a whole life ahead of them where they were gonna do great things for not only themselves and their family, but our community as a whole. And they're losing that because they're giving in to the temptation of gun violence.
Oftentimes when I go to the scenes of these homicides, they're young men and women that look like you and I. And oftentimes who my detectives are going after for that shooting look like you and I. And it's concerning. And it's been that way since I've been on this police department. And it's that way in many big cities. Gun violence disproportionately impacts people that look just like you and I. There are a number of factors that lead to gun violence. But I will say this, gun violence in general, is learned. It's not something you're born with.
This doesn't happen overnight. This happens because there was a consistent pattern. And what can we do when we have these intervention points to better rise to the challenge? How can our schools be better? How can DCS be better? How can law enforcement be better when we have these interactions with people so we can keep them out of the criminal justice system and keep them away from violence? It's not one issue, it's a bunch of issues, and there are systematic problems, but we have to be willing to work together to try to come to solutions to how we can improve these systems so we're not letting kids down.
We need to stop asking the kids to come to us and give us the solutions. Let's start going to the kids in their spaces. Find out where our kids are congregating and go to their spaces. Bring some of these meetings, or stop having all these panels where adults are talking. I think we're doing too much talking around our kids, about our kids, and not bringing our kids to the table. And sometimes you have to really go into some of these neighborhoods and get with some of these mentoring programs who have relationships with those kids who are actually perpetrators of the crime. So connect with some of the mentoring programs or adults who have relationships with kids who are on juvenile probation, kids who are actively involved in these crimes. Let them come to the table. Let them come to the table and make sure that they know their voices are important. Because I don't think our kids know that their voices are important. I don't think they feel like they're being heard. So in their minds, if you're not gonna hear me in the way that I talk, then watch this. And I think we're seeing that manifest in our communities in a really ugly way.